sit on that side of the room. Hey, we got a lot of people. We're starting, everybody, so that everyone could, yeah, just listen. Yeah. There you go. Welcome, everybody, to our, third or fourth meetup in person, blockchaingaming.com. And,
Blockchain gaming.
Yeah, in general, it is awesome. Yeah, so we are at Decontrolled, just to give a show of hands. Who's never been here before? That's, yeah, so nice. We've got like almost 40%. So we're a community space. We've been around for about 4 years. We do a lot of blockchain education. You know, it used to be like all Bitcoin when that's all there was. And somehow we're just still here. Kind of a shared membership situation where we all split the rent, and then you can do your own meetups out of here, co-work out of here, and it's yeah, it's just kind of a super cool place. And yeah, so we today's meetup we're doing CryptoKitties.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have
Avi.
Yeah. He made some slides and stuff, so we're gonna do that. Then we'll do some Q&A after. We'll give him a hard time, of course.
And we figure, you know, most people have heard of CryptoKitties already, but it's pretty standard to run through and explain what it is and how it works, in case someone here is like lives under a rock or something.
Yeah, we can go into detail about how things work. Question and answers.
Yeah,
I won't go too deep into
what
it.
is a CryptoKitty?
Yeah,
I'll start from there.
Yeah. It's actually my first slide.
Yeah. Oh, what is CryptoKitties for the kid?
All right.
Yeah, you can come up.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Hi everyone. My name is Avi. I work at CryptoKitties. This is Fabiano. He's one of the co-creators of CryptoKitties. And yeah, today I'm here to talk to you about why I think CryptoKitties are cool, how I got involved with CryptoKitties, and what were the challenges. So looking back 1 year in, what were the challenges that we were seeing and how we're thinking about the future. So what are CryptoKitties? CryptoKitties are collectible cats on the Ethereum blockchain, to put it simply. You basically have these cool looking cats. They're really silly. They come in lots of different colors and patterns and different shapes. So why are CryptoKitties actually cool? So CryptoKitties is actually cool because it was one of the first. It was the first NFT to actually pioneer what a crypto collectible might look like, and they spawned an entire class of decentralized applications. I'm sure you've seen a lot of the other ones that have cropped up on the internet.
What is NFT?
So yeah, NFT stands for non-fungible token. Non-fungible token is one that is a token where each particular instance of the token is different from another. Every Bitcoin is the same, more or less. In CryptoKitties, every CryptoKitty is actually unique and different from the others. They have their own special 256-bit integer that represents their genes, and that determines how they look and some of the gameplay aspects of that CryptoKitty.
Can you slide the board over just a bit?
Yeah, I'm not.
I'll do it this way instead.
Or... Great. Yay! Margin having left minus 30. Okay, so another reason why I think CryptoKitties is cool is that there have been almost 1 million unique cats created on the blockchain by our users. 98% of them have been created through user actions, where the user is taking 2 cats and breeding them together to get a new one. And that really goes to show how many people are engaging with this particular product and finding it valuable to breed new cats, finding it entertaining to breed new cats. So that's a lot of kitties, and I thought that was a really cool fact. Another reason why I think CryptoKitties is super awesome is that we have more than 50 teams working on projects that are related to CryptoKitties, whether that is extensions that help playing the game, that help make playing the game a little bit easier, or secondary activities that people can do with the cats, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And finally, the most important thing is, as a whole, CryptoKitties has really changed the way people think about collectibles and ownership of digital items, right? Before, when you bought an item in a game, let's say you play Zynga Poker, you buy some chips, you don't really own the chips. But now, with CryptoKitties, you can actually be 100% sure that nobody else can take this cat away from you if they so choose, because you own private keys that control this particular asset.
But the token, we gotta say, the token, not the art.
Right, absolutely. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and what are the challenges and interesting points where the off-chain world meets the on-chain world, and how to design good products around that boundary.
It's tough.
So yeah, some of the really big ideas, again, reiterating, is this idea of ownership. So if you own 2 cats and you breed them together, you will automatically own the cat that is born from that egg. So basically, it's this all this future value. Like these 2 cats could potentially create new cats that are different or distinct or much more valuable, and they can mutate randomly. And the fact that you will always own the offspring is something very powerful that has really spawned entire economy of players trying to breed out specific characteristics or breed out specific traits and then sell them on a market or corner the market for a specific type of cat. And we've seen that really happen organically through this product. Another huge idea why CryptoKitties works is because of the scarcity. We finally have a way to provably say that there's only one of this particular type of asset in the world, right? There's only one Genesis cat, and that Genesis cat, because of its scarcity, sold for over $140,000 in auction, right? Well, depends on the price of Ethereum, but at that time, this cat was extraordinarily valuable, and somebody saw the value in that and decided to pay that sum of money. And this happens all the time, depending on the scarcity of a particular cat. You could sell it for like a couple of Ether very easily, depending on what kind of cats you're trying to breed out. So that's been a really powerful concept of the blockchain enabling us to really prove that this is a scarce asset and therefore valuable. And another my favorite big idea of why CryptoKitties is amazing and awesome is the fact that you can extend it without any permission from the creators. So because everything is on the blockchain, folks out there in the world, just like yourselves, are building really awesome experiences that on top of CryptoKitties, where people can use their CryptoKitties to play games or find extra value or utility out of their cats. And this is the one which I will talk about a little more in detail because I helped create it. And I'll tell you a little bit about my story of how I got involved with CryptoKitties through this idea of permissionless extensibility or innovation. So let's rewind back to last December when CryptoKitties first came out. What you had with these crazy cats, they look awesome, look at them. You can buy them for ETH in a decentralized manner. No middleman, no funny business. The cat, once you buy it, is always yours, and you can always breed it to create new cats. And when this actually came out, I was in San Francisco. I was working for a gaming company, and when I saw this initially, I was just a token holder. I was holding some ETH, and I was wondering why has the ETH price dropped so significantly in the last couple of weeks. And I looked on the internet, and it was like all these blockchain cats clogging up the ETH pipes, and I was like, man, that's so annoying. Why are they doing this? Let me find out what these guys are up to. So then I went to Etherscan and I read the contract and I started digging into how it actually all works, and my mind was really blown. I was like, wow, these guys are really onto something unique and interesting. And so my first immediate thought was, look at these cats, they're all naked. They don't have any clothes. What if we could give them clothes, right? And that was sort of the initial idea behind Kitty Hats. So Kitty Hats is this website that we made where you could buy clothes and dress up your CryptoKitties. Each one of these items is an ERC20 token. It is, as far as I'm aware, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the first implementations of what I think now is known as a bottom-up composable token. What that basically means is it's a token that you can attach to another token. And the way these work, are basically you can buy, let's say you want to buy some Wayfarers for your cat. You can buy these. It's basically, it conforms to the ERC20 spec, which means you can trade it or sell it or buy it or send it like any other token. What you can also do with them is apply them onto a CryptoKitty. And when you do that, we have a Chrome extension that actually sits over the main CryptoKitties website. And whenever your cat appears on the CryptoKitties website, anybody who has the Chrome extension installed can also see the awesome shades that it's wearing. So what we wanted to do was add a layer on top of CryptoKitties where people can build value and add more interesting things and really invest and express. Players could really, find a way to dress up and make their CryptoKitties really their own. So yeah, I did this. We did this in like a couple of weeks. There was a team of 3. We kind of just met randomly over the internet. And that's generally speaking how many of the KittyVerse projects go, and it's very decentralized on the internet. Internet friends get together and make a thing type of sort of model of working, and it was really cool. And people started engaging with it. We had a lot of the core CryptoKitties users using this website, and not only using the website. What we actually started doing was we allowed artists to come in and draw their own art and create their own tokens. And every token that was created by an artist, they would get a revenue share when it was sold. So not only did we have a system where you could dress up these cool cats, but you as an artist could come in and make more interesting things for these cool cats and potentially profit off of it. So that I think was a really powerful idea that where a community of makers can come together and build on top of a product that already exists without having to take permissions, without any sort of legal restrictions on what they can and can't do, and then really build out the experiences they want to see themselves by themselves. Yeah, so that was a journey with kitty hats, and soon enough, the folks at CryptoKitties took notice, and I talked to Mac, who some of you may know. He works on product team at CryptoKitties and leads that effort, and he thought it was really cool to enable us and help us go further and build out what we wanted to build. So these are some of my favorite cats. You can see some of the memes. So these are all by our community members. These are all artists who literally just showed up in our chat room, in our Discord room, and they were like, "Hey, I think this is super cool. I want to draw for this. How do I do it?" And we sort of, helped them draw it, tokenized it, and put it on our website. We got the Doge onesie. You can still buy that. Those are still available. The Clooney, which is by far one of my favorites. This is absolutely sold out because obviously of how cool it is. And then we had lots of different memes. We have the breading cat, we got the cucumber cat, we got a keyboard cat. So it's really fun and nonsensical, just like CryptoKitties is. But it really adds a layer on top of CryptoKitties, wherein now you can really make that cat that looks the same as all the other cats different. And that's what was awesome. Cool. So this was all great fun and really interesting. But what really drove home the power of this entire platform to me was when we had Brian and his daughter Bella actually raise $15,000 for the Seattle Children's General Hospital, and we did this in partnership with CryptoKitties and a lot of the community members, where we created an auction for these cats, and we gave out this special kitty hat that was Kitties for a Cause balloons. And basically, lots of folks donated their cats to this particular auction, and all the money raised was given to this hospital. And it went to help children who have terminal illnesses, to help care for those people that couldn't afford it. And this to me was something that really had a social impact, like real world good came out of the fact that we had made these blockchain products. And I started really thinking about what are the important ideas that we have to preserve and make sure that we can carry them forward meaningfully. So I work at Dapper Labs. Dapper Labs is the company that is behind CryptoKitties. It is a spinoff from Axiom Zen, which is another company that creates new companies. So to summarize, Dapper Labs is the serious business of fun and games on the blockchain. And we think that, you know, games really drive the adoption of new technology. So we're really focusing in on the aspect of making these experiences super entertaining, super fun to use, frictionless and easy for newcomers. And then we also think that collectibles are a great area where blockchains can really shine because they enable this idea of scarcity, of provable scarcity that we can leverage to show that, hey, you are the only person with this item, and that's why it's so valuable. And then create markets around that, and create economies around that. So now to talk about some of the interesting and unique challenges of you know, building products that are decentralized. The first thing is obviously blockchains must scale. We've all heard about the scaling problem. It's very difficult. There's a lot of very smart people working on it. And we are very interested in all the work that they're doing because at the end of the day, users have certain expectations about how a digital product should work. And as it stands, blockchains have a huge limitation on how much throughput we can put into systems. So we have to make that expandable to 1 billion people, 2 billion people, you know, and to really see the blockchain go mainstream. Another thing is that's very coupled with that is improving the user experience. I believe we have somebody from MetaMask here. I'm not sure, but you know,
I think she'll have.
Yeah, building really good experiences around wallet technology and around the apps that integrate into those is super important because at the end of the day, when you're in the gaming business, you're competing with the folks that have mobile games that have millions of players that and we want to show them a new world where ownership is unique and a completely new idea of ownership where they can actually benefit from the economies that exist in the game rather than just being a participant of, you know, pay to play app. The third thing is balancing decentralization. To Alex's point, a lot of things are decentralized on CryptoKitties, a lot of things are not. And finding that fine line between what the audience of your product will accept is very interesting. We found out that with CryptoKitties, you can own the cat on the blockchain, but we're also interested in coming up with ways where we can expand the idea of the ownership of the art. So with the new Nifty license, you own the art for the cats that you own on the blockchain. And you can use it to make a t-shirt or print it on a mug or wear some socks with your CryptoKitty on it. And we give you that right. And we're also very interested in exploring the space of how ownership works in that realm. And finally, future-proofing the art and technology that goes into building these kinds of products. So, you know, as we start to think about what does a 3D cat look like, or what does an animated cat look like, or what do these cats look like when they play these different games on the KittyVerse, that is something that is super important to us and that we spend a lot of time thinking about as we design the future features of CryptoKitties. So 1 year in, what have we done? So obviously we raised another round. Some of you may have heard that we have some partners like Alphabet, Samsung, Venrock, and those are some cool names. People from the mainstream coming into the CryptoKitties, coming into the crypto world to really show that this is going to be a big space. And what have we been doing on the game side? We've released a lot of features, and a lot of them have to do with the provenance of your CryptoKitty. So the lineage of your CryptoKitty kind of, we're using jewels and gems to show, oh, this cat came from a line of CryptoKitties that was the first to have this trait, and this is the third one to have this trait. So we have the idea of gems that are given to cats that basically have a pure lineage of a particular trait. We also found that collecting and organizing these cats was a big aspect for users. So whenever you have collectibles, you want to put them in an awesome binder with the right teams in the right place and things like that. Similarly, we've created this mechanic for collections, sets, and badges. So if you complete a certain set of cats, you get a badge. You can also build your own custom collections as you wish. depending on how you think different cats should fit together. One huge challenge that we had that was really, really interesting was with bots. And whenever you have game economies that have real money value, you will have people that are trying to exploit them for profit. And that happened when we used to have, fancy chases where a botter would come in and literally just corner the market for a particular type of fancy cat. And the real users would never get an opportunity to try to breed that cat out. So they were just outperformed by this bot. And so what we came up with is time-limited fancies. So it wasn't actually bound by the number of cats that you could have of a specific type, but rather anyone that tried to do this within a specific span of time would likely get their fancy cat.
There was also a case of insider cat trading at one point.
Was there?
Yeah, I think I was fired, but it was
insider cat trading.
Insider trader.
Evan's buddy, right?
No, it was the guy, Max.
A guy.
A guy.
We don't understand. I just did
Insider cat trading.
Story. Insider cat trading. They caught the guy.
Insider cat trading. Guy got caught. Guy got fired. Right. So we're very, very strict about who actually at the company gets access to how the breeding works, and who at the company gets access to see the new traits. And those people basically don't partake in trading or breeding cats at all because of their insider knowledge. And so that's very important to us. We take that very, very, very seriously. We don't mess around in that department. That's all I can say about that. And then finally, we added a bunch of different features that allow users to really see that this world is alive and well. And you can see, a feed of cats that are being born as they're being born on the blockchain on our homepage. You can also see the newest cattributes, we call them cattributes, that have come out, and different interesting new kitties that have arrived onto the scene. So we've been really working hard to bring the perfect CryptoKitties experience, perfecting the CryptoKitties experience, rather, over time as we iterate and learn from our users and study their behavior. Okay. So this is just a quick screenshot to give you a better idea of how collections and how sets work. You can clearly see that there's set challenges that you have to sort of build specific type set of cats. So like scaredy cats might be one where they look sort of afraid. Or you might have a set for fancies that are purple or whatever. Anything. You can really go crazy with this. And then this is kind of to show you how crazy the cats can get. Like these are some really interesting cats. They have what is this trait called? I don't know. Rainbow.
The rainbow.
The rainbow. So this guy has some dragon wings too. He's got a mustache. He's got a Dali mustache. Like they get really crazy. Our art team has a crazy imagination. We've been doing some really wicked things with the cats. So now I wanted to talk a little bit more about what the CryptoKitties team as a whole, 1 year in, has been thinking about and the interesting challenges that we talk about inside. So one of my friends, Arthur, said that he's been thinking more and more about the fact that the provenance of a kitty could be more visual than we originally considered. So imagine you owning the same kitty as LeBron James owned at some point, right? How do we actually do that? Maybe you could think about a feature where LeBron James has the right to post a selfie with a CryptoKitty using an Instagram filter that only he has access to because he is the true owner of that kitty, and that Instagram photo now becomes part of this kitty's bio, right? And suddenly this cat becomes so much more valuable because at some point LeBron James owned it. And to anybody who cares about basketball or LeBron James or let's say Kim Kardashian, we could pick any celebrity. But basically the idea is who owned a kitty before you? That could be super important. And how do we build features around that? So that's something I think the entire crypto space is starting to think about, and we are too. So this is a quote by our own Fabiano. And he can probably tell you a little bit more about the smart contract and why we're thinking about this.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna ask a question about that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my question.
There you go.
Why
Here's
can't
your
I read with myself more easily? It's super convoluted.
Oh, why you can't give birth on your own cat?
Yeah, like just.
I know, like
version.
so the simple if you can
you go for it.
Yeah.
I think you're
Like,
better.
A day before we were to release the contract, we realized that anyone could game the giving birth. So the way we did is like basically a competition. So you have to put a stake essentially on your cat when you breed them, and whoever give birth, they will get the stake.
And how would they be able to game it if you had it?
So the thing is, like, if you have another smart contract, you can see like what cat came out, and then if you don't like the traits you have, because there's some random stuff to it. So like if you don't like it, just revert the whole thing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So like that's why you cannot give birth to your cat.
Oh,
That's the short
makes
version.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. 'Cause
Yeah.
it'd be gameable.
It's to prevent the
Big game,
incentive
yeah.
for the person giving birth to revert.
Yeah, over and over again until they get what they
Yeah.
want.
And if you
Exactly.
don't do,
That would
someone
be
will do.
That would be
So,
the standard if you had left that in.
yeah,
That would have
exactly.
been the standard.
Yeah.
Just how you do it.
Yeah.
You just breed together.
You destroy it. Yeah.
So yeah, we were thinking about ways that we can give users more autonomy, more agency to do actions on the blockchain that actually help breed their cats and bring them into existence. And this is actually a really interesting point. Anybody who wants to talk more about this, talk with this guy, Fabiano. He's a guy that knows a lot about smart contracts and CryptoKitties. So yeah, he's the guy. I will move on from here and then go to Gile. Gile is our art and design lead, and he says it would have been helpful to consider how flexible the modular system and the character needed to be for future creative applications. And here, I think really what we're trying to talk about is the fact that these kitties now have to exist potentially in a lot of different places. And as an art style, as a product, how do we actually scale up to seeing animated cats, to seeing 3D cats, where they're being used in really cool and interesting games that are more sort of traditional games of what you would think about rather than a sort of, a web app that allows you to trade tokens. So that gives me a great segue. So basically what we decided to do was create this thing called the KittyVerse. And as we saw the number of apps and plugins and Chrome extensions increase, we really saw a developer community emerging around CryptoKitties. And we wanted to help them to do their thing, and for that we created 2 different programs. We have the developer program, and that is basically for hackers that want to build on top of CryptoKitties. This could be anything. This could be a Chrome extension, for example, that helps you price your cats, or something that gives you more information about the lineage of a cat. Whatever it is that you're thinking about that helps CryptoKitties, you can get in touch with us, and we will give you help, assistance, office hours to help your project along. And the Launchpad is for slightly later stage projects that have well-formed teams and that want to turn their KittyVerse project into a real business. And there we will have sort of one-on-one mentorship. We also give teams the opportunity to come down to our office, talk and interact with the people who make CryptoKitties and really think about how their game could tie in with the core game and make it valuable, make it more valuable. So I guess that's the end of me talking at you. Please visit our website, dapperlabs.com, for more information. And if you want help us test things, there's a type form there where you can come, you can sign up, and if you're a good fit, you will get notified and you can come and help us test our products. And that's my email, so feel free to shoot me a message if you have any questions. And now I guess we'll open it up to the floor. Hey.
I understand there's 256 genes in each CryptoKitty, is that right?
It's a 256-bit integer. Each position represents a specific part of the genetic makeup of that
And
cat.
how do they interact during the breeding process? Like that?
Well, that's the secret,
It's a
right?
bit of a secret.
Even I don't know.
You
I know.
Tell them the secret.
I can tell a bit. I mean, like, so the community reverse engineered by now. There
Yeah.
are like 12 traits, essentially 12 characteristics.
Yeah.
And they come from the mom and the dad.
Yeah.
Or I mean, they're not like the mom, dad. They're like sire and dame.
They don't have genders.
But they don't have genders
They
too.
don't.
Oh, but they do. But they're both.
They're both. They can
Yeah.
kind of switch around like
You create the
hermaphrodites.
new kitty when the new kitty is born, I guess. But how does the system determine which traits to?
There is a bit of a random function, but it's essentially the mom and the dad plus some like ascension algorithm. It's all on the block.
What algorithm?
Ascension. There's like some logic to like decide if it becomes like something entirely new kind of thing. Yeah.
There's a probabilistic element to it. It's basically a function of the parents' genes
Yeah.
and some randomness that we produce to create interesting mutations, we call them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The number harvest we use is like the blockchain. It's blockchain hash number. So we take the hash from the blocks and we hash them like to make numbers.
because the hash is pretty much unpredictable, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that is our source of random.
Yeah.
That helps answer. Does that kind of answer your question?
Sure,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Just to outline a little bit more, I guess the machine code for this particular function is obviously public because it's on Ethereum. The source code is not, and for a good reason. But communities kind of reverse engineered how it works by looking at observed outcomes of breeding and figuring out what must have happened to create this kind of function.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, can you come up with a reasonable probability
Yes.
that it will have certain?
There's a great tool for this
Yeah.
that actually he actually one of the first artists on kitty hats. His name is Alan, and he works on CryptoKitties now. So he's another one of the sort of community hires, including myself, that joined CryptoKitties after having made a CryptoKitties KittyVerse app. Kitty Calc is basically you put in two cats and you get the probability that you'll get certain traits out of it.
Thank you for this. Like, first of all, I didn't really know much about CryptoKitties, and it's really interesting. Thank you.
Cool.
But I'm a critical theorist, so I will ask difficult questions. So
Absolutely.
So first of all, it seems like the concrete value of CryptoKitties is the cuteness, and it's a cute trading card game. So it's fun and it's cute. That's like the utility. And for me, also the utility is clogging up Ethereum. I think that's hilarious. So that's utility for me. But
testing Ethereum, not plugging.
Testing.
Yeah, we're testing it. We're pushing the boundaries.
exactly, yeah. So my question is, it seems like most of what you're talking about are features that have to do with how the market economy functions, which has to do with the cat's speculative value. And you also spoke against making profit off the cats. So is it good or bad to make profit off the cats? And is the value of the cats actual or speculative?
That's a great question. I think it's both. So a lot of the community engages with CryptoKitties, and a lot of the early users engage with CryptoKitties because they believe the cats have some market value that they speculate over. However, I think now, as the game grows, there's so many other things you can do with the cat that add utility. So the cuteness is the base aspect, right? On top of that, we built this other app that allows you to dress them up. So different player aspirations can really start to shine with these different apps. If I want to battle my cats, I go to Kitty Battles. If I want to race my cats, I go to Kitty Races. If I want to dress up and invest and express in my cats, I go to Kitty Hats. If I want to see a cool interactive fiction story, I go to Crypto Detectives and use my CryptoKitty as a character in that. So as more and more of these experiences start to emerge onto the scene and become more and more popular, we're basically building up the utility of each of these cats beyond the speculative value or beyond just the cute, fluffy drawings, right? And we're really starting to extend and think about how can these cats be used in more traditional games in a way that incentivizes ownership, incentivizes people to think about game assets in a more decentralized way. And then eventually we want to see a future where, and our CEO Roham uses this analogy often, where we have this theme park of rides that you come into where you can go on different rides and there's interesting things for everybody to do and there's something for everyone. And at the core of it is this unique non-fungible token, which is a cat. And the breeders and the people who actually breed out the traits and find those, they have a completely different way of viewing the game, right? Because for me or for my sister, who doesn't really know much about blockchain or anything, for her, they're just these cute little fluffy cats. I gave her a couple. She doesn't find too much utility out of them, but she understands that, okay, this is a potential, investment. Oh, I can also now dress these up, or oh, I can also now race these cats. And maybe she wants to do one of those other things that the core breeding community is totally separate from. So I hope that answers your question. We want to build utility on top iteratively as a community, rather than saying, we're going to build the whole game all by ourselves.
That's a good answer. I think the cats more into games, like a racing game, cats are interchangeable, right? They are fungible. It doesn't matter which cat I'm racing with.
So I think it's not true.
Not true.
Well, yeah, so maybe not. So you'd have to add ways to make semantic relations between like having a bow and arrow, being able to shoot the arrows. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And we're definitely thinking along those lines of how do we create a system of connected tokens that actually make gaming experiences more interesting, more valuable, compelling.
Yeah. So for the race games too, like depends on the traits you have. Like you go faster essentially, or not. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a little bit meaningful. Yeah.
Yeah. They use the genes. It's interesting.
They do use the genes, and so does Battles actually. But Battles, I would say, is not doing
not that much
as awesome a job with that.
Would it be kind of the same, just a different graphic? Like, did they win the race or did they win the fight? Like, that's how it's built. And the other thing is, there like a deathmatch battle, like where the kitty actually
the battle.
goes away.
I don't know the battle one.
Like loser gets to a burn address.
Kitties don't die.
Should.
When you send it to all zeros.
You can send your
That's what I'm
kitty.
saying. Like you send it to a contract, they fight. The winner gets his cat back, and the loser goes to.
Or maybe you get both cats back.
Or maybe
Yeah.
pink slips.
Yeah. Would you guys help me build that game? We can burn half the cats if it gets popular.
That'll make
Sounds fine.
more expensive, right?
Yeah, as long as the scarcity goes up, let's do it.
What's the logic for? I heard there's like 4 million kitties maximum. Is that right?
No, there's no limit.
There's no limit?
It's definitely. So, are you talking more about the number of possible unique genetic combinations,
Yeah.
or
No, there's like unlimited, right?
yeah?
No, it's 31 to the power of 12.
It's a gross
crazy.
number.
Yeah.
It's like
It's crazy.
really high with like lots of digits.
Would it be 2 to the 56?
No. Yeah, but
Right?
no, but it's, no.
Okay.
It's 31 to 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's specific genetic parts of the genes that limit the number. It's not 2 to the 56.
But
It's
still,
31 to
it's
the.
enough.
Quite big.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of zeros.
It's enough. You're not gonna reach the end.
So you're not going to reach the end.
Yeah.
But
No
you
one
mean
will.
there's a limit to any one specific type.
Yeah, I heard these
Yes.
duplicates though. Like, thankfully,
It
there's
could.
a couple duplicates out
It
there.
could happen, yeah.
Duplicates can happen.
Like,
So
has it happened though?
Yeah.
Like, how many duplicates are there?
Yeah, because like traits, they have like visible parts and invisible parts. That's why it's not like 2 to the power of 56. So like, yes, on the visible side, it's more possible to get duplicates. Yeah.
you can have cats that look similar. Their genes may be slightly different, but overall, so thinking about this in terms of like your
Lineage.
genotype and your phenotype is like kind of, I guess, the biology analogy to this, right? You may have certain genes, but they're not expressed in your phenotype. So similarly with a cat may have certain bits in a particular that are different, but it may still look the exact same as another cat. If that helps answer your question.
And there's also like dominant and recessive.
Yeah, I see you in that shirt. You work there now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
2
job.
months soon.
That was
Igor's another team member.
Yeah,
Hey,
Igor's here first though.
Uh,
He was with us first.
He's decentralizing.
Yeah.
That was actually my question. Was such a concept as a dominant recessive gene?
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah. It's almost biological in a
yeah,
sense.
it's
right?
similar. Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask.
So,
Does your model simulate inbreeding.
No.
Oh
No, no,
yeah.
you can breed the same. You can breed kids together and stuff. So we can-
No.
No,
Yeah, you can breed.
You can't.
You can breed
Kids, yes, but
kids, not parents.
Not parents.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't
There's-
breed parents and kids.
There's no direct incest.
No.
Because that's
Yeah.
Two kids of the same parent is okay.
I don't know. I don't think
No,
so.
it just was
I
easier to
think it's
program
not
out one of them.
No, I
There's
think
no point,
it's
right?
You're
How many more
Stop
things
that.
do you need, rules do we need to put in?
That's a bunch,
It's just
yeah.
more gas,
Great
right?
question.
There's a, yeah,
That's
there's a
just more
bunch of
gas.
just
Just
ways
don't
to
do
get.
it. Let us do whatever we want.
So yeah. Hey,
You got more hard questions.
okay. So you're talking about how adding organizational features improved uptake, right? A lot. So this got me thinking. I mean, the gamification of all of this, isn't this just like exploiting people's psychological addiction to gambling and trying to create a decentralized platform for inventing new ways to exploit people's vulnerabilities?
That's all of crypto. I
I
will.
That's basically what I was gonna say.
But that's all of crypto.
But I think, I think about the question: why do we watch movies, or why do we play video games? It's to be in a fiction where you can spend some time away from the real life world, and just think about fluffy digital cats that you can flip for profit. So from that perspective, I definitely think that it's not like a scam, right? We're giving you this hat, you can breed it. We're not promising you anything you can't do, or not giving you things that we did promise you. What we're saying is, hey, here's this collectible item that you can have strong guarantees of ownership over. What are you willing to do with it, or what are you willing to pay for it? And I think that's completely fair. And especially given the fact that ultimately this asset, we envision it being useful in so many more ways than just the speculative value or just the fact that it's a cute fluffy cat. And we think that this asset will be a gateway into a whole variety of experiences that people can engage with, no matter what their player aspirations are. Maybe I want to play a battle game. Maybe I want to play a game where I'm doing physics puzzles, or maybe I want to do a game where I'm in an MMO where my CryptoKitties is my character, right? Or Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Whatever your player aspiration is, this will be a way to get there. Given that that game, that somebody's working on that kind of game, or somebody sees that it's worthwhile.
Good answer. Yeah, you're selling real fake cats.
Yeah, real fake cats.
Yeah.
Real fake dollars.
All for magic internet money, right?
I've got more.
No, I'll get into it too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question about you mentioned copyright. How you manage like artists coming in, hats and stuff like we're doing crypto hats. What if I came along with crypto caps? Do you guys manage to copy? Because how do you encrypt in?
Yeah, let's just start getting into that a little bit.
Yeah, you could absolutely open another kitty hats, right? Sell totally different tokens and make your own Chrome extension. Nobody can stop you. And that's the bottom line, right? That's what's beautiful and scary about this universe of decentralization. Somebody can come and eat your pie. But what the converse of that is, people can come and build on top of your application just as easily, right? So I would argue that you building that particular app to compete with kitty hats, for example, would be beneficial overall for the ecosystem, because, hey, let's say you have way better artists, or let's say you have a way better website, or let's say you have a way better integration with CryptoKitties. You should win, right? And there I see the free market principles really emerging and pushing all these products either to extinction or to success. And for me, that's super important that is allowed. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, both legally and technologically, right? So that to me is super cool. You couldn't go and build a plugin for Farmville, right? You couldn't take advantage of their success. There's very few games out there that allow themselves to be quote unquote modded or built on top of easily, right? And some of the biggest successes in the gaming industry that we've seen, like Half-Life or all the things that came out of it, or Minecraft, are because of the community that decided to mod all over them and build a world that they wanted to see rather than just stick with this game that they've been given to play with.
Yeah. Also, like to add to that, like it's rare, like even for single players to do that. It's even more rare for like MMOs. So like CryptoKitties is an MMO. It's like a really simple MMO, but like it brings like sort of like second life, right? Plus we have like real currency, which is Ethereum. So that kind of like brought it like to a unique sort of level, this direction.
So yes, absolutely. Go ahead. Yes, you can absolutely have another kitty hat store or a kitty clothes store if you want.
Okay, so while we're on, let me go.
It's not a question. When the value of your official branded CryptoKitties is backed by your game designers and your artists. It's like their quality.
Yeah, it's backed by the quality of the games and experiences we put out that use CryptoKitties as a utility.
Okay, so while we're on artwork and licensing and stuff, the one question I had, so basically from the Nifty, as Nifty license stuff
Can you
goes.
make t-shirts?
Yeah. We did not print protest t-shirts tonight.
Hashtag not my Nifty.
Hashtag not my Nifty. Yeah. We didn't print protest t-shirts tonight. But the idea is one of the problems with the Nifty license is sites that like adapt like an NFT browser site. You know, under your guys' license, I believe even currently, like if someone wants to go make a site where they can browse all the CryptoKitties, all the Axies for Axie Infinity, all the Etherbots, all the other dumb stuff. Your license is like, no, you can't use our artwork unless you own the token, and you can't display your token on your our token on your website unless the owner of the token has cryptographically proven it. So in other words, like I could choose to display all my NFTs from different games on like a third-party site that's like NFT bragging rights or something where you just go display people. But anyone using the Nifty license, technically you guys could be like, hey, you can't display that cat, or if it was someone a browsing site. Like if I wanted to make a site that just browses all your cats.
So
I couldn't do that. Right?
I think those already exist.
Yeah.
And the only aspect of that is you can't say the cat belongs to somebody that it doesn't belong to.
I think
that's the.
But like a dab, like if I commercialize my site, I'd be making money basically, like showing your artwork.
I think if you do Etherscan does it. Like Etherscan show the cats, right? Like now they understand 721, so they do show. I don't think it's a problem. Like so, I'm not a lawyer, so don't take it as like lawyer work.
We have to ask these questions. You guys made it
No, it's true, but like
you were the first ones to start licensing.
So the NFT thing is more like if you want to make a mug for yourself, you can use my cat for it. It's fine. But like if you want to make a mug and like sell it like commercially on websites,
even if I bought the cat, I spent $140,000.
If you own the cat, you can make as much money from that picture as possible, as you want. Right?
That's my understanding as Nifty license too. Like if you have the cat, you can do and like you can sell whatever with it.
So
but if you just
100K anymore.
I think.
Have you guys not read the license?
I've read the license.
I've read the license.
But I'm not a lawyer. I suck at legal.
I just said these numbers.
But I think the next version of the Nifty license is out.
Is it out? Yeah.
So that is one thing. And
is it still called the Nifty license?
It is still called.
But you guys didn't make up that word. That's the other thing I'm forced to say as a so you guys just went and trademarked the word Nifty. And you guys didn't make that. And you have Dapper already, which is a word.
So I knew this was going to be a question. I'm prepared for this.
No, I knew you would have.
So here's the thing. We registered, we sent an application for the Nifty license, right? We don't have one.
You don't have it yet.
So Nifty, feel free to use it as a word, right? Nobody's going to stop you. And I think a lot of that, whatever happened, basically stemmed from, what we consider as a normal business practice. Whenever we're doing a product, we file for the relevant trademarks or whatever. And maybe we should have filed for a Nifty license instead of Nifty.
Yeah, for sure. Or Nifty at all.
And I personally, I wasn't there at the time all this happened.
Yeah, you said September.
I have very little visibility into how it went down. But what I will say is one thing, like we're excited to work with and build this community, right? We're really happy that what we created with 721 has spawned this entire world of applications and interesting, cool ideas.
I have many dumb swords and stuff.
And we want to enable them. We don't want to hinder them. And the Nifty license itself is a work in progress, right? So the V1 is not the perfect final forever version. We want your guys' help to help us really understand, okay, NFTs are this really cool thing that are emerging on the internet right now. How do we shape the future of this? And where we think we fit into that is we're a well-funded company. We have one of the earliest products in the space. And we want to really, sort of shine the light where it's sort of dark right now. And the Nifty license was an effort to do that, right? To really protect the rights of the artists, because you have to think about those guys as well, right? The people who draw all this stuff and work really hard on creating the tech and art that enables it.
But you just sell
is
it.
super important.
You sell the token. You're like selling the art. What makes it valuable is that art. So they are buying the art, right?
Sure.
Technically, or they thought they were.
Yeah. Absolutely, and if you own the token, you own the art too, right? And that is part of the Nifty license. So we want to protect token owners, we want to protect the artists, we want to protect the people who build these experiences in a way that nobody is sort of pissed off, okay? In an easy way to put it, we don't want to piss anybody off because it takes a village, right, to make this all happen. At the end of the day, we want your help to actually come up with the best version of the Nifty license. And if you have feedback, we would love to hear it. If you have interesting, points of contention that, hey, we think this should be changed about the Nifty license, we're happy to hear about it. And we're happy to work. We're happy to iterate on this particular thing. The name is.
If I may, though, this conversation was happening with the NFT community on GitHub, on Twitter, etc. It's awesome, and I get the intentions of what you're trying to do. I've cyberbullied your bosses so much.
I have heard. I was discouraged from coming.
Mac hasn't been.
But I was like.
But this conversation, this is business meets open source.
Right.
And this has been an open source thing, and all the Nifty artist people, like I wasn't one of the original ones, but Matt Condon, etc., who created the first podcasts, they're mad because the conversation was happening. And so it needs to be brought to that open source community and hashed out and not tone police. They're a little sad for the current event. But the main thing was, open source functions differently. And you can't, you've got to come into that community and understand its norms. And its norms are for us to talk on GitHub, for us to talk in the streets, on Twitter, etc.
Well, here we are down.
Exactly. And
we're hashing it out.
Everyone I've met who works for CryptoKitties, I've got super respect for how everyone's hype on community building and on education. Like me and Benny talked during DevCon, and just straight up, everyone wants to build good stuff. I'm just saying all executive level is for falling on the sword when a mistake is made. And I think an apology to Matt Condon in particular still is forthcoming. But y'all are good.
Well,
can you guys comment even though you guys a little bit with this?
Absolutely. I can't speak to or apologize on behalf of anybody, but
it's just a weird situation, and then like getting so big, and then having the situation. You're like, oh, okay, so now. Now it's something big. What we like? How does this get handled? You were the first ones to try to do it. I'm sure no matter how you tried to handle it,
there's always going to be some back and forth, right? And we have to accept that as being part of this community where we are discussing ideas openly, where we are having this back and forth of being like, I believe this is better. No, I believe this is better. So we want that to continue. As a company, our position is that, hey, we want to get the best of the community and see how we can evolve our products to really lead the way in a manner that is open and accessible to everybody, right? So we don't stop anybody from building apps on top of CryptoKitties. Like when I first started building kitty hats, right? My only goal was basically I deconstructed CryptoKitties for the sole purpose of being able to create any possible cat, even ones that didn't exist yet, so that I could print them on t-shirts and sell them. And that was my only goal. It's pretty messed up, sure, but
the license was made to stop people like that.
And I mean, I didn't do it in any sort of meaningful way, but at the end of the day, nobody really stopped me from presenting CryptoKitties on the Kitty Hats website In fact, they were only encouraging it, right? So I hope that gives like a perspective on our position. Like we don't want to stop community projects. We don't want to stop people from creating Nifties or any sort of token. We want to, in fact, enable that even more. And that's why we have KittyVerse developer programs like, come help us build this KittyVerse that you want to see, right? And whether that's innovating on the licensing, legal side, or on the technical side, or the game development side, whatever your jam is, come help us build it.
But what if there was like a bad one you didn't like Kitty's, like I don't even want to like,
Yeah.
just like, you know, like some sort of app that was like.
What if someone's writing an app? We send kitties to the 00 address.
I already said that.
Yeah.
I know, that's all
Right?
thing that.
Yeah, I believe there is an app right now. There is a protest app.
Protest.
There's a protest app right now that will
Burn
burn
your
your cat for you. Protest your cat's license.
Yeah,
Hey.
Provable,
I think
Yeah.
economically,
economically all good. It's
not
just-
viable, right? People bought these cats for a reason. A lot of them are speculators. They're probably not going to burn the cats.
No. I think that's silly. It's just another thing. I
It's
feel like the idea
It's
of
just a
fight.
funny thing,
I
right?
feel like the idea of a fight that the loser goes to the burner ground. Like, okay, what was straight gambling with over the cats? Like, see, there you go. So I take your licensing or whatever, just use your cats. Like, yo, cat fights to the death for money, and
Right.
you get everyone's throwing in advance. You know, you're like picking the block hash you're gonna be gambling on. You're like, oh, this block we're getting in. You know, like throw your bets, and then you guys are like, oh no.
Essentially,
Oh, no,
battles
I
is that, I think,
it's
right?
fine, yeah.
But they just don't allow secondary
Yeah.
level, secondary
I
betting,
mean,
right?
whatever you do with your application,
so
it's your
that-
responsibility, right? So like
Yeah,
you can
so-
do whatever you want
But
with
that's
your
what I'm saying,
application.
That's where
But
the license worry comes
At that point, you're
Yeah.
so the thing is, you're still your own project, right? When the FBI comes a knocking, it's gonna be at your door, not ours, right? So those are
But
the
it's
sort of
decentralized.
right. It's decentralized.
Right.
You could run it out of like somewhere, you know,
Yeah, Ether Delta guy got arrested.
go to Cayman Islands and
oof.
oh wow, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
Ether
I
Delta
don't
guy got
know.
arrested by the SEC. So no matter how
Oh, today?
decentralized
Oops.
your exchange is,
Yeah.
the SEC will tell you if you don't go Satoshi.
Make sure you know your
Oops.
AML, KYC.
No, you have to go full Satoshi on anything good you release.
Okay.
No one
Or
can know
go
who you
full
are.
Satoshi.
Yeah, no one can know who you are if you make something cool, or the government will come get you.
Awesome. Okay.
I've got one more critical question and a non-critical question.
Okay.
So,
Which one first?
Let's do the critical one first.
Yeah, the hard one.
Let's get it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking about how we could be also exploiting the archetype of the cat. Like, is this an expression of bass worship, or is this something that would be sacrilegious to bass?
Could you repeat your question again? Perhaps I didn't understand it.
We might be exploiting the archetype of cats. So is this something that is an expression of bass worship, bass, the Egyptian goddess of cats, or is this something sacrilegious to bass because it's like profiting off of her cats?
I am not 100% sure how to answer that question.
Are there
but-
any Egyptian mythology worshippers at your company?
Are there?
Oh boy, I wouldn't
Boy, I
even know.
couldn't
It's
speak to
Canada.
the.
It's Canada. You never
You're
know.
one of
Thank you, sir. Oh, you're a savior.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
And do you guys have no cats?
Do we have real cats?
What was the cats in the office?
Are there cats in the office? There was one that was brought in last weekend,
What happened to it?
but most.
We burn it.
We put it in the machine that breeds CryptoKitties so that we can have more. No.
Did it live?
It lived. It was a cat that belonged to one of the Axioms. We call them Axioms, not employees. One of the people that work at CryptoKitties, and it was her cat. Stayed mostly inside its little like container because there were dogs around. And shockingly, CryptoKitties, the office, has a bunch of dogs in it.
Yeah.
So
No one brings a cat to work.
yeah, who brings a
So hold on,
dog?
you call them axioms?
Yes.
So how confusing is that? Get one of the other most popular blockchain games is called Axie Infinity.
Mm.
Yeah.
So-
Another question? Yeah. So I see how it works. To wrap up the previous one,
Yeah.
Fast has previously licensed meme cats, a subset of all cats, to the internet. So you guys are partaking in that. So yeah, the employees of the company might not be lovers of cats, but they're lovers of meme cats specifically.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's valid, and that's something you should profit off of.
Yeah, I personally love memes. We have a whole meme section on kitty hats where it's like completely based off of memes of cats on the internet, and you can buy tokens that represent those and attach them to CryptoKitties. So cat memes close to the heart. Yeah,
Cool.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you're good people. So then my speculative question is, so speculative art and how there's over time the genres evolve and different companies or different artists explore all the variations on what like an arm could look like or what a weapon could look like.
Mhm.
And right now we're at this very like cutting edge contemporary sci-fi thing where it's all squishy and there's all these new things coming out. So it seems like I'm curious about the possibility of having like multiple styles. Like could my cat transform into like an alien and there's like an analogy between different cats and different aliens, so then you have different worlds of style. But then you can start expanding into all realms of speculative art. So is this a platform for speculative art and variations of exploring and commodifying that taxonomy in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have I think by far the craziest cat drawings that I've ever seen personally. There's already an alien spaceship cat. I forget the trait name, but
I think we have.
It's a fancy,
there.
right? There's a couple stickers you can grab, but yeah, we have this entire thing we call kitty lore. We have wonderful, amazing writers. We have a writer called Ren. She writes crazy, amazing stuff about where these kitties come from, what is the fiction behind this universe of cats, and that will really sort of play into ultimately the cool experiences that we see emerging within the KittyVerse. So yes, absolutely.
That's exciting.
We are really thinking strongly about the fiction, the art, and how stylistically we want to guide it in different directions for different products.
That's exciting. You could collaborate with Cam on his decentral promise land. He's going to put up this poster on the wall right here.
Oh, cool.
That's a
Let's
cool.
see the big poster.
The Promise Decentral.
Game mechanics, actually. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, I'm a game maker
Game
by
mechanics.
profession, so.
Okay, so right now, so everyone knows there's this thing called the fantasy chase. It still goes on once a week or every couple of weeks or something. So basically, there's like these 4 traits or 4 to 5 traits, and if you breed a cat that has them, then you get a special cat that's limited by time or quantity. Now the problem is there's no good way to deliver this information to the user base, and as of currently, they like give like some vague clues that are like you can go back in their Twitter history. It's not a good system.
Yeah.
And then people in the market sit there and watch like a Twitch stream where some guy tries to like decipher it with the chat that are also paying attention to clues. Now the problem is the clues only don't really give you enough information, so people start randomly speculating on what trait they need to have. So like, oh, if you need to breed a cat with, you need to get 4 traits. It takes 2. So your 2 cats need to have at least 1 copy of each of all those traits. So people just start randomly buying up all the cats. And I just basically, it's a terrible system because it rewards people who like get lucky, like be willing to buy the cat when the guy on stream's like, is this one Oogle-Doogle? You know, or like Fiddle-Madibble, right? Like,
so the thing is like, at some point, so we made it easier, but then the community complained a lot because it was too easy. So we made it more vague again. So it was actually hard and then easy and then hard again.
Giving them out, like delivering them. It's tough, obviously.
The community seems to like that. Yeah, they like getting clues. So the whole thing of CryptoKitties is like, in an aspect, there is like the value that's like they're just cute and you like them for like their traits. But another aspect is also like the puzzle aspect. So they kind of like, what genes become like what thing, and people like that. So
yeah, I've watched like 2 of the full fantasy chases.
And getting a cat you've never seen or the world has never seen before, that is the end goal of that fancy chase, right?
Yeah.
The first, and then you can provably have the first one ever.
Yeah, the first one.
Those are always the moments that we try to optimize for, so that those moments are meaningful. As Fabiano said, we totally saw this problem, right? And we were a lot more explicit about how we released the clues for the fancy chase. But then a lot of people were like, "What? What are you doing? Are you crazy? Like, this is a puzzle. Like, what if I gave you the answer to all the puzzles you ever solved?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is this aspect of mysteriously understanding this genome, like. Understanding the technical details helps you understanding sort of how to get the clues, where to look for those streams, where to look on the Reddit, those are all part of that fancy chase experience that users have told us they find valuable. So we preserve those, right? We want to always do what the users are liking and not do what the users are not liking. So from that perspective, yeah, absolutely. We would. Have you chased the fancy?
No, I actually have owned very little CryptoKitties.
Okay.
When you guys first launched during the Smash the Ethereum network time,
yeah,
you guys were actually Matt was here.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Four or five of you guys were here. And I was lagging out so bad that I couldn't buy a cat. I was gonna buy a cat and get someone to film me hitting Mac with the cat on my screen because I felt like he wouldn't go for that. Like this cat has touched the creator,
right?
And that would have given that cat value. But then it was so laggy.
Back to the provenance thing we were talking about.
I was gonna do that day one before they we're still here a year later. But then I couldn't because it was so laggy and. All the cats were just for sale, and the blockchain was complaining.
Really?
No, that's all good. That was good. It needs to happen. That happens to all the systems.
And with any new system, you're like, what are the limits of the system that we can possibly push and test and see where it goes? And when you suddenly have like 1 million people show up on your website, you're gonna see some of the problems where your website needs to be improved, right?
It was like a week.
Yeah. Cool. Any more questions? Yeah, what was your second non-critical question?
Oh, I think I answered art.
Oh, okay. That was a
non-fast, and then there was speculative art, concept art. Yeah, so it was, this is kind of more general, it's more of a comment. It seems almost like this is, well, so let me talk about the art for a second. So, this type of art, I think I like it, it's cute, I have one on my laptop, but it's a feature of this style of art is, I would say it's a result of commodifying it. And so it has a certain, like a few qualities it has are each of these at least, and also the features, each like set of features has to be highly distinct. It has to be like the maximized version of itself so that it can be like maximally distinct from the other ones, at least early in the evolution of the ecosystem. And so have you seen like recent Disney movies or like big budget kind of TV dramas? Every single little thing that every character does, every gesture is like kind of a commodified expression of that character's market value, you know? And so they have these overwrought gestures, and it's not necessarily negative because it's an early in the evolutionary process. So what I'm seeing is like almost this is a platform for the commodification of commodification, which might actually be eventually equivalent with decommodification. So you're opening up the ability of more and more people to design more and more ways to get into this art market process. And you're building a self-sustaining system of that. So eventually it'll be, you know, make art and then everyone else finds like the perfect use for that art and pays you $1 million. Yeah. You can like shit on a plate and someone will be like, here's $50. Like that's a CryptoKitty.
No big deal.
Not, I didn't mean to make that comparison.
No. I think art
will be that awesome.
Art has always been this weird thing, right? Why do people pay millions of dollars for a Mona Lisa type painting or like a Da Vinci or a Rembrandt? Ultimately, it's about your belief that this particular piece or this particular object has intrinsic value. And by intrinsic value, what I mean is it in itself, just by existing, has some value.
Like Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. And the idea is that, so with kitty hats, for example, right? What we did was we made a way for artists to take their still and do something, and then create a scarce asset that they could then sell. And the blockchain enabled that. But at the end of the day, what was being sold was the art created by this artist. And yeah, we absolutely believe that there can be economies where people just create and make stuff and pay their rent. I paid my rent with the money I made from kitty hats one time in San Francisco. I don't know if you know what San Francisco rents are like, but crazy. So yeah, it was a pretty big deal. It was really interesting. And I know artists who made money off of kitty hats. And they never had a formal agreement with us. They never joined our company. We don't have a company. We just were random internet friends that got together to create this art that can be then distributed in a way that actually provides value. Like if that person just uploaded that picture onto Instagram or Facebook, and that could be shared hundreds of millions of times without any sort of value creation for the person who made that art. But by doing this in a way that leverages the blockchain, leverages the idea of scarcity and ownership, we were actually able to help that person make a profit. And I see a world where being a CryptoKitty designer is a profession. Like you could do it, and if you make amazing dope kitty hats or kitty items, you can make a living off of it potentially. I know people that make just hair, right? They just draw hair, different hair for Second Life, and that's how they make money. They probably make more money than I do. So that's really interesting that how people can commoditize their skill, whether they're developers, whether they're artists, on this new platform, and how CryptoKitties actually enables that. I do believe it's a powerful tool for allowing that to happen.
It's all predicated on us wanting to have the artist decide who
Right.
gets to like own their cat.
And nobody gets to say, oh, who gets to draw what, right? Today you could issue your own token if you believe, like, screw you, your drawings suck, I make a better kitty hats, I'm going to draw my own or hire my own artist, I'm going to do it myself. That's totally your prerogative, right? You can absolutely do that. Nobody can stop you.
Hats are blockchain secured as well?
Yeah, absolutely. They're ERC20 tokens.
Thank you.
Someone hasn't asked a question yet.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't asked one in a while. Go for it.
Oh yeah, I'm taking a couple steps back. Ethereum. So actually, I was thinking, use a strategy to promote another cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. So just general comment about using Ethereum.
I'm not sure.
Why did they choose Ethereum?
Yeah, or is that?
It was the hypest one at the time.
Yeah. You just pick the hypest token, go for that.
No, really though. Like it was like the only thing. It's just the more established one.
Yeah.
It was the first of like the level 2, if you want to
Yeah.
call them, like blockchain stuff that allowed a little more, and it was just the biggest one. Like that's where everything's built. All the other ones are like even worse than Ethereum. I will say, like none of them are really good, but like just most things are built on the one that's furthest along.
Yeah, and
We're
some
not
like
saying
Security was the biggest thing, right? We don't want people to be able to steal your cats or breed or game the system game the breeding system in any way. That was why Ethereum was chosen because of its scale and its security concerns.
It was built in a hackathon, right?
Yeah, it was at ETH Waterloo.
Yeah, it was built in an Ethereum hackathon originally.
oh no, the game was launched.
Was it?
It was launched in Waterloo. But
Oh,
we,
sorry.
Yeah,
My bad.
there, yeah.
Yeah, better.
we brought it there, but it was more like a test. So that was the only place that we actually had users to test with, which is why we brought to the Ethereum
That makes
hackathon.
sense.
Yeah, no one was really using it. But Ethereum had a MetaMask for a long time,
Right.
which helped a lot. Too. Yeah.
Yeah, the development ecosystem around Ethereum was very strong. I think strong compared to other cryptocurrencies that are not Bitcoin. And then also finally the fact that it enabled smart contracts, which is obviously a necessary part of how CryptoKitties runs.
Yeah.
Well, there was, I guess I'll have to call you over in your earlier presentation, and you guys didn't really like make up NFTs. Like they've existed on other platforms before Ethereum even existed. Rare Pepes on what's the not colored coins? One of the original Bitcoin layer 2.
Right, yeah.
Omni layer, yeah. The same thing Tether's
yeah.
on. So Omni has Rare Pepes, which existed before Ethereum existed, therefore, and they are non-fungible tokens.
It's kind of like they're like more like they're like color coins, so they're like your C20s, but like kitty hats too.
Yeah.
But the difference with cats is like they are really different, like one from the other one, right?
I feel like that's really one.
Oh,
You guys
they're
got it
yeah.
first, right?
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Like
I
if you
think it was
look
on
for it,
Omni,
you
they
find
had
it.
that. And
But-
Rare Pepes were
but they
unique.
can be
Each
different.
Pepe there's only one of each Rare Pepe. That's
No.
why it's rare.
No, you have many. You have
Not the
issue.
same one though.
You
got a
have
bunch
the
of different
same one.
Rare Pepes.
No, you have like a bunch of like. So you have like you issue like 20 of your art or like 100 of your.
They can issue
Art, yeah.
a set of 50.
Oh, okay.
If I have one of the 50, there's no way for me to distinguish it from another one of those same 50.
Yeah.
If I choose to issue just one of the Rare Pepe,
okay.
that's a different story. And we do that with kitty hats all the time. We have like 10
What's the
tinfoil
most
hats.
overpriced JPEG you sold?
Oh yeah, it's first of all not JPEG. They're all SVGs. Second of all, we had a tinfoil hat for those who were concerned about their CryptoKitties being hacked by aliens. So we had
That's
a
dope.
tinfoil hat for your CryptoKitty, which sold for 10 each. We only sold one at 10 ETH, which was some random address. I would love to meet that person if any one of you. But then we were like, yeah, these are not selling. You know what? We're gonna drop the price to like not 10 ETH.
Not 10 ETH. What's the cut for your site? What's the cut for the artist? Is it standardized? Like
we negotiate that deal. So Kitty Hats, we negotiate that deal on a per artist basis, depending on the quality of the art, how much time they put in, things like that, how well we think this piece will do in the market. We work with the artists to decide what the supply is going to be, what the price is going to be, and what their share is.
So did you drop the price of the 10 ETH?
Yes, but we made that. That was our item. So we actually.
Well, how did you refund the guy?
No. So
on the 10 ETH version before you changed
initially,
it? Sorry, this is sidetrack.
Yeah. We did not refund the guy. I mean, things drop in price, and you don't get refunds.
Not on the blockchain.
Yeah. Well, things drop in price on the blockchain as long as the smart contract allows it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You should have read the smart contract. But
freeze your assets.
The 10 ETH, the 10 ETH hat. First of all, it was not an external artist. We paid a person on Fiverr to draw it for us.
What did you drop the price to? 1.
The price was ultimately dropped to something like, first 1 and then something like.
Oh, even worse.
0.6.
Oh, rough,
you can get one for 0.6 ETH now.
Rough, man.
Yeah, rough for that guy.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's rough. I bought a digital Lambo for 0.2. Yeah, I'm really hard. My digital Lambo's worth like 2 ETH now.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Gaming on the blockchain is super profitable.
Did you buy a piece of the moon on the lunar token thing?
So just
I got all that dumb stuff though.
I got that piece of the moon.
I want to do a poll in the room. Who owns a CryptoKitty? Okay. Who has MetaMask installed on their browser right now? Okay, great. Cool. All right, just wanted to get a feel of
who has 5 digits in their notes. Yeah, you do?
Ooh.
Baller. Yeah, this guy.
Wow.
5 digits?
Yeah, like over 10,000.
Yeah, that's a fucking lot.
You put your hand up. You flexing with it. You try to flex? Yeah. Spam on the blockchain.
Rich.
Yeah. So I guess that's.
Yeah. If anyone has
more questions, come hang out. Come talk to us. We're down the street.
Yeah. No one has to leave. It sounds like he just open invited you to their office anytime. I don't think that stands.
Yeah.
He's just being friendly. But yeah, if there's no other questions, thank everybody for coming. We're going to end the stream now, I guess. Clap for this guy.
Thank you for organizing.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Yeah, you guys, they knew we hit it with some license stuff, but thanks for coming anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for hosting an awesome show.
Yeah, okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Enjoy. You guys don't have to get kicked out or anything. Oh, and Anders is going to throw something down on Dino Gaming? Dino Gaming Industries. Surprise! This is where we sell you the timeshare. No, yeah. Are you going to do it over here?
Yeah, I have a presentation.
Do you want to just leave with one of the stream on?
Sure, yeah. It's less than 5 minutes.
It's less than 5 minutes.
Yeah. Very early draft.
Can I get the camera?
I think so, yeah. I don't know, you were there now. These guys do licensing stuff.
I'll send you a kitty.
Where's the HTML?
Oh, really? I don't have any.
Where's the HTML?
The HDMI is gone. Right here, maybe. Oh no, I'm gonna have to do the input again. Okay, we are gonna end the stream. It's gonna take. I gotta do the input. Take this. Put this in your computer. Let's just hit start. Yeah, good job, guys.